So, we can discuss, as I said, the other NDS. I think we have to include that with your FDS plans for the County Conservation District, pre-construction. I said, if you get your financial agreement, the whole package of construction, it's, that's gonna issue the contract, it's just.
Yeah, there's like a supervisor, like the couple of fix for the road.
Yes, yeah.
I think I that's kind of vanilla.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
we're very, I mean, we do the same thing over here, we haven't to send them to you, I'm
Nah.
not to do that.
But whatever they normally do, like, some places want you to look at, but
Yeah,
if the tax is the same, so there's not much.
yeah, I can send it, stuff, we can tweak it all. If you want to.
I just saw like the price is pretty much what we're expecting.
Yeah, well, we do these things.
Put together for the same square foot. The same square foot house.
We didn't open this system. Went in conjunction with
I just trying to punch away the right down.
It was just really incredible, it seems like sometimes, little things that you might be dealing with little problems, and then you see these other things, and, but everybody deals with that stuff, it's just,
It makes it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the real is
there were,
Right.
10 women,
I-
2 leaders, one of the leaders was my cousin, which was cool, because I
Yeah.
never got to see her, so that's why I just happened to be talking to her, just like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Best of
I don't know if I can make this happen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure.
Because that's part of it, just trying to figure out prices like or advance.
Dog,
meter.
it's like, okay. It's like,
I didn't know.
so,
I mean,
so,
more on a-
why do I have 2 of these? I don't have 2. Is one of these yours? No. I don't have 2. Yeah, there's some. See, this is what. Here's the first one.
Welcome, folks, to our workshop session for February. Most of you are aware we're recorded and broadcasting live streaming on YouTube. We're able to access those recordings without right to know involvement. I know there was some discussions from time to time on what we do, why we do, or how we do at workshops. And this is a change this year from prior years where we decided to go to the second and third Thursdays because the way the calendar would fall in our old schedule sometimes would leave just a few days between the meetings and other times, 2 weeks. So typically, what we do at a workshop session is review material we received, act on things that we can act on, hopefully expedite certain things, also make our next meeting maybe the least bit more efficient. It's also a good time when we have presentations outside of the normal meeting. So we are advertised and eligible to vote, and it's something that 4 years ago when I came on the board for the second time, it's something that I certainly felt and feel is a good idea. We also have noted on the agenda that the public comment, we like you to keep it brief, but we don't really cut people off too much. That's not conducive to, you know, a good exchange. We do get sometimes multiple, you know, people expressing the general same opinion, and we get it. We get the information. So we ask you to be brief, but we'd like to hear everything. We have 7 o'clock. That clock slow? Yep. 7 o'clock. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do that moment of silence on behalf of our military men and women that are not here, our first responders, our people that are fallen in action. And I think in months to come, rather than just memorialize it with a brief moment of silence, we'll also kind of remember maybe specific people from the township. That's my idea. Has not been discussed with my board members yet, but assuming no one has an objection, we'll be honoring people. My concept for that was to maybe have someone nominate someone, and then that they feel is deserving, and then we'll have a little selection. Not that everybody who has served is certainly worthy of that recognition, and that's the purpose of the moment of silence. So with that being said, I'll do a roll call. Mr. Rhodes? Here. Mr. Gillo? Here. Mr. Steve? Here. The chair will note Ms. Fix's absence. I'm Tim Vittler, and I'm here. Item 2 on our agenda. The agenda has been and was posted on the website. Have any of you accessed that agenda on the website? You've seen it? Okay. Well, we hope to do better and better with that website and provide as much information, you know, as we can. That's the game plan. That's one of the things I've asked Ms. Fix to look at a little bit, and we all can jump in to kind of help where possible. You're all aware that we're a little short-staffed. We're working on that. In fact, on the agenda, if you noticed, ma'am, we'll have a potential hire tonight on one of those positions. So having said that, I'll open it up for any citizens' concerns. If you'd raise your hand and maybe stand, state your name or whatever for the record. We'd like to hear what you have to say, if any. Got somebody in the back.
Hey, Rick Steele, West First Street, Birdsboro address, Robeson Township. I was wondering, has the chief been appointed full-time chief yet, or
No. It's not been appointed yet.
not appointed?
No.
Does he get paid? I mean, he's acting as chief, right?
Right.
Does he get paid the same thing Dennis Castle did then, doing the same job?
Well, maybe later in the evening, I'll kind of mention some of the last year's year-to-date earnings of the officers.
Okay. I just don't understand why it's over a year. Birdsboro just appointed their new chief over there, Adam Bortz, and took them 1 month.
Well, I'm not sure, you know, maybe somebody else on the board wants to help with that question. I'm not sure, you know, why perhaps that delay, but I think later in today's agenda, we've made a motion, and we're going to advertise for all open positions, including the chiefs. So if that motion ultimately passes, we'll be advertising again for the manager, for the chief, as well as a couple of other positions. And if Acting Chief Rimby's interested in applying, you know, I'm sure he'll be able to do that. And then the process will hopefully move forward.
Okay.
All right?
I'd like to comment real quick on, the back where I live, I'm on a dead-end street, cul-de-sac. The road crew did a great job on my street. during this last snow. I'm the last one to get plowed out, I would imagine, because it's only me and one neighbor back there, but I don't know how the route goes, but I pay taxes probably faster than anybody in this township when it comes to school taxes and property taxes. I just don't know why I'm the last one to get plowed. But I understand you have bigger roads and everything else, and I'm able to get out of my property. A lot of times I plowed all the way the quarter mile down to the stop sign and plowed the 580 feet of the township street myself. Okay?
You are kind of out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
We gotta go to Birdsboro to get you.
Well, thank you. Are there any, does that conclude your comments?
Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you. Anybody else care to make a comment? Go ahead, ma'am. State your name.
My name is Sally Stolniker. I'm at 5 Kingfisher Drive, Birdsboro address. I just have a question for the board. I think first, I applied for a position on the EAC, apparently wasn't selected, but I couldn't find anywhere what the criteria, the process, anything about how you become a member of any of the boards. So again, going back to, can that information be put on the website somewhere so when other people want to apply for any of the positions, they know what you're looking for, and when they submit something, they can let you know what the qualifications are of their qualifications. So that's one thing. The second thing I'll reiterate, I think the plow people did a fabulous job this time. It was such a mess. We watched them several times. They really, really did a good job. And thanks to them. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Kate Kennedy, 728 Schuylkill Road. It's a Birdsboro address, and just probably half the people. I just want to say relative to what we've pursued. So as you know, that the data center was presented to you guys in April. We started to, in August, kind of say, oh, we should get an ordinance together and be proactive and stay ahead of the game. I've come here, said those things also as a citizen, but I just really at this particular time, my whole point right now is that there's a lot of things going on with data centers, and there's a lot of crowds all over America that are coming together to protest them with their concerns and fears about a data center in their neighborhood. From a power standpoint, from a water standpoint, from noise pollution, air pollution, wildlife, and environmental concerns. So my point here is that we've got something, whether or not we want to start all over again, that's fine, you don't like what we did, but we really want to just say, let's not wait for the county, the state, or the federal government to decide there's a moratorium or not. There's a lot of chatter, but there's pieces right now, and we can really do something here and get that done probably a little bit faster than waiting for the county or the state or the federal government to do anything. It sounds great, but the buck stops here, and let's get going. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to tag along with that, I've been tracking different areas that have these put in, and to get things up and running, they're breaking every rule that they have, especially with water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. The only thing I said is that if we go ahead with this, put some teeth in our ordinances that if they're gonna violate what we had set up to allow them to do that, they pay, and pay dearly. They have the money to do it. They're sticking $500 billion into data centers, and but the ones I looked at with Musk and Mega, they're both bringing in generators right now. In Texas, they're asking the data centers to run their backup generators full-time to save their power grid. And they don't have the the environmental clearances from their ability to do that, because it was set up as intermittent power, not permanent power. But all I'm saying is protect the residents with decent ordinances and limits, and if they're violated, make those companies pay. That's my point.
Thank you. Anyone else? I think you had your hand up, sir.
Dave Shuttler, 577 Cedar Hill Road.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last name.
Shuttler? Shuttler.
Okay.
I just want to quickly touch on the same thing Kate and sorry, Tom mentioned. My property abuts the Grande property, so what happens with it's a major concern to me, but I think it should be a concern to the township as a whole, because it seems like everywhere the data centers go wreaks a lot of havoc for the locals. So I understand that they're zoned for residential. If they want to build houses back there, that's their prerogative. I respect that, but just would ask respectfully that the board, keeps all of us in mind when ruling on anything involved in that property. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Just keep in mind, we have not heard one from them in months. I've been reached out to them, they do not respond.
Okay.
So we have no idea, they have not proposed anything for here yet.
I appreciate that, sir.
And I also read the governor is taking over deciding what regulations are supposed to be.
For them. I mean,
Well, the problem we have is if they do it, they negate what we've done.
well, but they say a lot of things. Federal government says a lot of things too. You're gonna sit around and wait for them?
Okay, anybody else?
Hi, Lorraine on Golf Course Road. I've been in this area for a year and a half. Actually love this area and was devastated to hear that this is a possibility, and wanted to jump on board right away about the data center, because I'm from Chester County and I know what's going on down where I used to live, and it's heart-wrenching. I know you've got to be very quick and be mindful and be abreast of what's going on, because a lot of stuff is done in secret, and we're not told that, not from you guys, but from the other people. So I just hope that it doesn't go through here, because this is just a lovely area.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on. Right. On our correspondence, you fellows are all familiar with your statement of financial interest. I think that's been provided in the packet. There's a request for approval for the ladder truck. I'd imagine we could do that tonight.
I would prefer. Only thing, Scott, is you're sure about that number?
Yeah, that is the original payment amount. They have issues getting things out on time, even after all these years of saying it takes a while to get here and get there.
Yeah.
So they added these finance charges, late fees. I have made it clear they're not gonna be paid.
Okay.
That's the
So
standard.
I just don't want to do it again.
Nope.
Is there some reason that that's not under the normal section, just under correspondence, or?
I don't know how it got there.
Right here is the bill.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, it seems odd that it's in the correspondence and not under where we're paying all our bills.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's probably because it kind of stands out, and we're not paying bills tonight, but we'd like to get this in the queue for.
So we are paying bills tonight.
We are, well, we're authorizing payment of this one.
Okay, then you need a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Rhodes. All those in favor by roll call vote. Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Gillo?
I'm gonna abstain because of my position.
What is that position?
That would be fire chief.
In your capacity as fire chief, do you have control over the funds?
Not directly.
I'm not sure I understand that.
What is your question?
Do you have control over the funds? Are you a signer on the account? I looked in the township not too long ago. When we first started 2 years ago, it seemed to me there was a booklet. I've reviewed Gibraltar's bylaws and have some concerns. Is Geigertown's up there, and I just didn't see him? Or they not?
Should be. I can give you your own binder. It looks just like this.
Okay, all right.
But as
So,
to your financial question, not any single person is in control. It's the same as like the board here.
All right. I'll take a look at the bylaws and we can talk about it further, but I'll vote yes in case I didn't, and that motion should carry, we can get them
I
to.
think I'll vote for that, yes, as well.
Oh, I thought you did. Well, you made the motion.
I made the motion.
All right, so that's a yes and a unanimous vote with one abstention. So that they can get their check how soon? They can get their check how soon?
It goes right to.
Goes to the bank.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's due, it's due March first.
I think, yeah, if we can, we'll electronically transfer it.
Okay. All right, good. Then you might see in your binder, this is relatively new, and thank you for your efforts. Paula, did you make this, Paula? Thank you for your binder. Anything we can do to help keep the volumes of paperwork together helps. So in there, you'll see a Chapter 94 report, and there's not any action that we obviously do with that. Moving on to the police, are you ready, Acting Chief?
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be, I guess.
All right, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Board. The first item I have on the agenda is the BAS, continuation discussion for January's meeting. I don't know if the Board had a chance to review. I know Harold, we spoke a little bit about it. I don't know if you had an opportunity to talk to them or if you guys made a decision on it.
Well, the funny thing is the minutes that I read said you were gonna get more information, but I did make contact with them, and I am working through trying to make sure that everybody is in fact enrolled. That's my first step. The second is I will figure out the numbers thing.
So that's, I don't think that's a yes, I don't think that's a no. I think that's a,
We were working on it.
we're working on it, and if it's, appropriate, it will be done, I
Um,
guess.
I do know that I don't think anybody used 100% of it last year,
I don't know. I don't have access to that.
so.
I'm not sure. You want me to continue to keep it on the agenda?
Yeah, and we can have an additional discussion so we can work and get that thing closed out.
Next item I have is, in January, I went to the Berks County Chiefs Police meeting. Brian Gottschall was there talking about, we believe the county is going to be purchasing or switching over to new Motorola radios for everybody. Right now, they're still in negotiations with it. I just wanted to put this on your radar because from what I'm being told, and I know Harold, you know some of this information, you might even know more than I do. Right now, I think it's a 42% discount we're getting if we purchase the radios, but we have to purchase them 2026 or by the latest, I would say January 2027, to be able to receive the 42% discount. They're not guaranteeing that our radios are gonna work if we don't buy them.
I actually understand that we have to make a commitment to purchase way before that.
Yeah. I think
And then
that has to be done in
They have to be
2026.
paid for by next January, or in January.
Right.
And, he indicated to me that they wouldn't you could use what you have until,
I just wanted to put it on the board's radar, like I said, because it's a substantial cost. It was not something that was budgeted for, nor was it budgeted for any other police department in the county. We weren't aware of that this was gonna happen. That's why they presented it at the chief's meeting, and that's why it's still being negotiated.
and the other thing is the price of the radios is like the 24 price, or the 25 price, not the current price, and that he's getting a discount on. So, and like, he's right, he hasn't finalized what that's gonna look like yet.
Yeah.
And there's a question as to whether some of the accessories will work on the new radios versus the old radios, as well as the chargers, all of which would be extra.
Yeah. It's gonna be a pretty hefty bill. Is there any questions on that I could possibly answer right now? All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Pathfinder implementation. So I believe it was 2023, Chief Castle paid to have us switch over to Pathfinder, which is still Cody. It's just more of a web-based application. It took a little bit of a time for them to actually get it out, have all the bugs out of it and stuff like that. So we actually started the implementation in January. It's probably gonna take till April for us to build it, but I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that it is being built. we're working nonstop on it, to try to get it up and running for our department. Next item I have on the agenda, is to discuss Detective Gottschall's raise. In the budget meetings in 10-9 and 10-21, I requested the, part-time patrolman line to be adjusted to detective only, and to give Detective Gottschall a raise of $38 an hour for 30 hours a week, which comes out to $57,000. Detective Gottschall is a huge asset to our department. He is a wealth of knowledge. I could sit here for the next hour probably and say about how many great things that he's done for not only us, the county itself. One of the things he did when he got hired here under Chief Castle was he purchased all of his own equipment, his computer, his monitors, everything. He's a huge mentor to every officer here. I think he's deserving it. My professional opinion, I believe he deserves that raise, and I would like to see him get it.
Is he not getting it?
As of now, he's not getting it.
It's not the CBA. It's non-negotiated. Position was negotiated for, but the salary was not.
So what we'll do is perhaps talk about that and make some further comments on next week.
The line was approved in the budget for
So
an
we should-
amount and an hourly rate at 30 hours. Does that, maybe it's my ignorance, does that not hold up at this point?
Anytime something's in the budget, it's a
But it was-
budgeted item, but
Correct.
not necessarily mandatory to spend it. I think our collective bargaining agreements, our CBAs, I believe that they, I don't wanna say supersede, but I think that they certainly have an impact on that. So I'm not necessarily against that raise, but I do wanna think about it for a week.
Yeah, I don't believe the collective bargaining agreement says his salary, raise, pay at all.
It doesn't,
No,
not that I saw.
no.
It sets a job classifications.
And it just says part-time.
All right, and this is what we've paid our officers, I'm gonna say last year. And I'm not mentioning names here. We got one officer at 186,000 over, another officer at almost 140,000. We got another officer at 131,000, one at 116, one at 125, and that was only part of the year. We have a problem here in the township, and we're spending more money than what we really should, in my opinion. It's not a problem that's new. It's not a problem that's gonna go away very easily, but I think it's time to take a good, hard look as to, you know, what has happened. And certainly something, you know, that we're gonna have to take into consideration.
There was a lot of overtime in those numbers, correct?
Absolutely.
Because we were short 2 officers for how
Absolutely.
much of the year?
There's
One
over,
officer was short for the entire year, the other officer was short from, I believe it was August to December, but then you have to realize you have to pay out all of their comp time, all their vacation time, all their personal time, they're entitled to that by their collective bargaining agreement.
so any way you,
Lots of factors involved.
any way you cut it, we are spending, you know, more money than certainly I'm comfortable with. Is the next item an item I put on there?
It's not one that I put on. The
Right,
next
I put
seven-
item E and F on the police agenda, and I think moving forward, when we place agenda items in there, maybe we'll develop a policy and we'll put our initials so you can see, you know, what your elected officials are putting on the agenda. By the way, since the police report is all but concluded, other than a few comments, there were 2 guys that came in late. I wanna give you the opportunity to make a public comment, even though you missed it. If you'd like to say anything, we'd like to hear it. Anything?
No, we're from Bergsboro. We just came to see what kind of discussions were going on about the data center.
Well, you missed most of it.
Yeah. Quicker than the last meeting.
It doesn't seem to me that a single person has expressed an interest in favor of that data center. If you're from Birdsboro, I'm sure you may be aware of our kind of joint comprehensive zoning plan, and our zoning does not, in my opinion, coincide with data centers or certain other things in a residential district. And you might be aware that is close to Birdsboro. I understand, and you're gonna see our engineer here and our attorney here, you're gonna see that I've asked them both to weigh in on a number of things, but my understanding is, and not to steal your thunder, we'll wait to your segment of the agenda, but that has had approval or preliminary approval, I believe, for 500 homes for some time. And I mean, I think that's what a residential district probably suggests. So my understanding, and our solicitor is in his second month with us here, my understanding of the zoning ordinance is that if something is not zoned for it, it would, in a sense, by default, go to an industrial zone. So, you know, that's kind of an interesting, I'm gonna say twist. That's just my preliminary interpretation. So I believe the board's aware, and I think on the data center, our engineer already reviewed it and I think made 16 or 18 comments. My hope was that our environmental advisory board would incorporate those. I don't know that they've done that yet, but incorporate those, prepare an updated version of that, if you will, if you have it on your system. That would be my goal. And I know our attorney may weigh in with a few brief comments, but we appreciate you coming out from a neighboring municipality, and I wanted to give you a chance to say anything that you did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So on item 2, the last 2 items on the chief's agenda, I placed those on there. And one of the things that I saw in a recent visit to a municipality, not an adjoiner, but far away, was an interesting, what I call drug drop. There were grants for it, and it would allow people, if they have drugs of various types, to be able to put them in there in a safe location. I asked the police, I believe it was the assistant at that time, how it's worked for them, and they said really well. And I got to thinking, if we get more drugs off the street, that might be, you know, a good idea. Recently I had some surgery, and there's all kind of forms that we sign when you're given whatever those class drugs are. They're nasty. And the leftovers, I never took any anyway. I need to dispose of those properly. So that's something I'm gonna be working with and exploring a little bit further. The second item has to do with the safe zone that we talked about. I didn't hear any further, comment on that, but I understand some of those work pretty well, where there's exchanging of custodies and stuff like that. So we might want to get, and not to jump ahead to you, Mr. Redinger, but when we talk about some signage, we might want to get some signage at some point, assuming we're moving, going to move forward with that.
We already have that.
We have the signs.
Okay, good. Then the last thing on there was, if you folks have seen an old-fashioned mailbox, I saw one municipality have what I call flag retirement, where when they want to get rid of their flags, they're supposed to be disposed of in a certain way. And I think at one of the buildings, it would be good to have an area, to do that. I want to say a drop box for our properly disposed of flags. You don't see any problem with that, do you?
I do not.
Maybe we could use the old drop box for the sewer payments.
That's too small. So the last item was a policy manual. I'd asked any of my colleagues on the board, the policy manual was quite thick, or quite extensive, I'd asked any of my colleagues if they've had a chance to take a look at that, have any comments on that.
The police policy?
Yeah, the binder, that was 2 to 3 months ago, was it not?
I didn't get it.
Well, you're new on the board again. We'll make sure you get a copy.
I didn't get one.
Okay, then we'll make sure everybody gets a copy. It was 3 months ago. You remember when you presented that?
Yeah, it went to Kozloff staff to be reviewed. I believe everything was emailed to you guys.
It was all emailed, and I don't know that I saw their entire review, but let's take a look at that. To your belief, during your tenure here, your department's in compliance with that policy?
All of them?
All the policies?
I would say so, yes.
Okay, good. So, thank you for that report. Under finance, we have our monthly expenses, treasurer's report, and Mr. Steve, do you have any comment on the sewer aging report?
The first two will have one next Thursday, or actually, we'll email them out. The sewer aging report has 10 people that should be liened. My question is who are we gonna get to lien?
Okay, we're gonna have our solicitor lien them consistent with our prior board action. Are
Okay,
you in agreement to do that?
I can, if your desire, yeah.
You know, it's not a complicated process. For those who don't understand that, we have a process that if you are delinquent in your sewer bill, we don't act on those liens aggressively and sell someone's house or force some kind of sale. What we do is we like our liens recorded so that in the event of a sale, title companies pick that up, banks, et cetera, pick that up, and we do like to get paid for what people have consumed. So there's always been some discussion on the board between whether the sewer authority, that's a municipal authority, a distinctly different legal entity than our board of supervisors. This board appoints them, they have their own solicitor, and there were certain reasons for that, particularly when they needed to loan money when they started. They started in 1986, and obviously that 30 years, it was a 30-year lease, and some of the notes, I guess, were paid off earlier. But in any event, people need to pay for the services, in fairness for all of those sewer people. So,
right now, there's $11,553.08 that's 90 days delinquent.
now, sometimes people do forget, sometimes people do, run into hard times. However, by protecting our position, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. We need to get aggressive with what we do. All right.
Real quick,
Certainly.
just to look into something, we in Birdsboro, I don't know if it's the same sewer company
It's
or
not.
anything. If you use the same processing payment company, they weren't sending the bills between Birdsboro and the company, so we actually got something from the water sewer saying we're gonna shut your service off, and we had auto pay on.
Nice.
So we had to work it out, and there was something wrong between the systems, not.
Well, we've recently switched sewer billing services,
So
and
that, yeah.
I think we've worked out a few of the snags, and I think it's gonna be more efficient for us. That was one of the areas of efficiency that, we're looking for. So,
We're sewer only, so we can't turn off the water.
Just figured it might
We
be,
can't turn off the
some
sewer
people
either.
might have that situation possibly.
all right, moving on then to Roman numeral 6. I've taken the liberty to renaming that. As you're all aware, we don't have an acting manager, so it's kind of an administrative comment section where we'll advertise for all open positions, including the chief of police. We have a manager open, we have a number of positions. We're thinking 2 on the road crew as well, correct, Barry? And we have another office 1. So we're gonna need to do that. Moving on for a second, item B, we need a motion to have a fee schedule, and that's in our material. A fee schedule is adopted by the board and tells residents and those who apply for different types of permits, what it is. And you believe this is, you guys worked on this is in order, correct? The fee schedule, we're ready to go.
Yeah, there's gonna be some changes coming depending on who we give contracts to, but, yeah. So we need to put something in place because right now we have money going out the door and we're gonna come into the season here with the, scheduling of the ball field. And, one of the, changes we're making is, you have to pay when you reserve instead of, oh, I didn't play that day and meanwhile we gave it, somebody else didn't get a chance. So if you're gonna play, you need to pay. And, we're not offering up refunds anymore. You know, if it's drizzling that day or, you know, whatever, we can't control that. And it's, but the amount of money that we charge for that service, it costs us more to process a refund than we're making on the deal.
So we're gonna need a motion for the 2026 fee schedule by resolution 2026
04?
dash, you're talking 04?
04?
Will anyone be willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Steve, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Rhodes, all those in favor by roll call vote. And that motion was to approve the 2026.
Fee schedule, resolution 2604.
All right, all those in favor, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. I think you commented on the field rental no refund policy.
Yep.
Item C is the GAJA corrected terms. GAJA is Geigertown Area Joint Authority. I don't think you're active, you're not on that board now, Mr. Steve, but
No.
you were for a number of years?
About 10 years.
Okay, so we need a motion for resolution 2026-05,
05.
and that is to correct some terms, the length of an appointment. Again, those are appointed office as well. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Rhodes. All those in favor? Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. We have a new hire, staff person that we had interviewed. More on that towards the end of the agenda briefly. But we're gonna need a motion to formally hire her, and that'd be resolution 2026-06.
Yeah.
In that resolution, it defines certain things, correct?
It does, but one thing it does not cover, and that was the headhunter fee for her hiring, which is paid out over a 6-month period.
We've employed a variety of mechanisms, variety of services to try and find the best possible people. Sometimes that costs money. We believe we have a pretty good person in this job. So I feel we're lucky to have her. So your motion includes the payment of the headhunter's fee over 6 months. That was about $6,000, was it not? 12,000.
6,000 was what they reduced.
So Mr. Steve was successful in negotiating the normally expected payment. You cut it by 1/3, is that true?
Yes.
Saving 6,000. So that motion, does that include the payment of that fee, Mr. Steve?
It will.
Mr. Rhodes, does your second include that?
Yeah, I don't think we motioned yet.
Yeah, I said I'll make the motion on
Okay.
2026-06.
You'll second it?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Gullo,
Yes.
Mr. Steve,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. All right, one thing that was, well, there's more than one thing, but one thing that we need in item E on our agenda that slipped it through the cracks is a right to know officer. You heard me comment that at the beginning of the meeting, and that's a mechanism, a procedure to get as much information, to get selected information that you want from a township. And we should really appoint an officer to kind of head that up. Mr. Steve, before I make the motion, are you willing to accept that position?
I will.
Okay.
Kind of been doing it by default anyway.
Well, we have an obligation to respond and respond quite quickly. I believe there are some errors and flaws. It was a well-conceived law, but I personally believe it needs some adjustment. Unfortunately, we as a board can't necessarily do that. So, Mr. Steves, I'm gonna make a motion, we appoint him as a right to know officer. Do I have a second? We need one, fellas. Somebody want to second that? Okay,
Somebody else want to be the right to know officer? Because we need one.
yeah, if one of you two want to do it, fine. Second your own motion.
Well, I can, but it's gonna put a standing order anyway, but I'll second it.
All those in favor, Mr. Rhodes?
No.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Again, that's a legal requirement. Someone needs to do that. It's not optional. All right. There's a emergency declaration. I took the liberty to prepare one as well. You're all aware about that. You're all aware of the snow, I guess, issue we had hitting Sunday. But we declared the we declared the emergency on Saturday. So I have a declaration of disaster emergency here, which we're ratifying tonight, and I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Forget to sign that. One of the things that the emergency disaster allows us to do is, if the storm is so much that, or if we have other issues, it allows us to hire additional contractors. And that's something that, for the sake of the township, while our road crew, I think, did as good a job as they could, I have gotten complaints. Some of those complaints that I investigated were not legitimate. Some, I did mention to Barry. And I think that we have a road crew that tries and is, tries to be responsive. It's not easy, being out, giving up your weekends and your nights, and, it's always inclement weather. It doesn't snow when it's, a million degrees, but, it's a job that they bargain for, they accept, they know it's part of it, but that sometimes doesn't make it any easier. So, having said that,
And I personally like to thank them. A couple of them gave up vacation days to come back in and do the snow removal. So it's commendable. And they were out there for 20 hours.
well, there's also times where they get the job done, and when you have those high winds, they tend to wreak havoc with, particularly, I remember, and I wanna say in the olden days, when there was tons of that whatever you wanna call it, high winds fence, what do you call that, snow fence?
Snow fence.
Yeah, and I really don't see as much of that anymore.
Lancaster County.
Over in Oley, I see some.
Yeah, along Covered Bridge Road.
Yeah, but I guess it's a cost and it's a hassle, but, and sometimes, in some years, we don't seem like we get the snow that, thank you. Some years we don't get the snow that, we do other years. It seems kind of weird. But having said that, we were prepared. So, a mailbox, item next is a mailbox policy. Staying with the theme of snow, we've had some complaints, with knocking down mailboxes. And the past practice of this board has been that if our truck hits it, if we run off the road, if we damage the hedge or trees, if our trucks hits it, it's kind of on us. But if the mailboxes are within the right of way and you have a big snow that really flops, really sprays, if you will, or comes off the plow, there's, particularly if it's a wet snow, there's nothing that they can really do about that. So I believe you authored an email, Mr. Rhodes, about adopting a standard policy. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think we had a couple of things in here. The only problem with that is when we have that policy and somebody gets their mailbox knocked down, we can refer them to the website, we can refer them to the policy, and they're not gonna be happy in any event. It's one of those things that was that your email, Scott, that said about, or Facebook posting or something that said about 3,000 residents and.
Yeah, we received a handful of emails from residents whose mailboxes were knocked over, and I think, in my opinion, with most included pictures, it wasn't contact with the plow. It was the windrow, the snow coming off the plow. So with our shortage of staff in the office, I answered all of those respectfully as possible. With the pictures we saw, I drove by 2 of them. Everyone was fairly understanding of it, but yeah, I just threw in there that, how many miles of roads?
About 90?
90 miles of roads and probably approximately 3,000 mailboxes in this township. We had less than 10 that I'm aware of sustained damage, and I don't personally believe any were actually physically struck. So that's kind of where this spawned.
And I've got some relationship with our state snow plowers, and essentially their policy, as I understand it, is a little bit of tough luck. That's
Actually, it's in here.
meaning tough luck.
No, their policy.
Okay.
And if you're in essence correct, they're saying if it's in the right of way and we hit it,
Well, my mailbox at my law office is out of the right of way, and I've replaced it 3 times already, because when they're on the shoulder and it's wet, they get it. And the only real drawback is, when it's knocked over, particularly if the mail's in it, it makes it, but it's a necessary thing, so I've moved it. My last resort is gonna be on the westbound lane of 724 to put a piece of plywood in front of it and hope for the best. That's my last, with good luck on the snow removal or something.
I just want to add some of my responses. I was not trying to down anyone's very fancy mailboxes, but the plastic, PVC, decorative, hey, they're great. They're beautiful.
The vinyl.
They're not going to survive when it's,
0
what was
degrees.
it, 12
It was
degrees.
Yeah.
They're brittle.
and I think almost all the complaints we got were just them.
They were.
They were.
We tried to be as respectful as possible, but you're correct. The mailboxes that we saw pictures of were, hey, I'm sure they paid a lot of money for them, but my 4x4 post with a steel mailbox still stands today. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was better to put something out there for the residents to
Yeah.
look at
Well,
as far as the policy, as opposed to ignoring emails, right? Or having to email back, just refer them to the website where the policy is, and I think that would cover.
And if I may, one of those emails was, a second or third attempt, the individual, I responded back right away as quickly as I could, but I'm also out in the truck with everybody else. I haven't heard back. I offered to go to the one residence and.
Yeah, and when she said the third one back, I did send her a message as well, saying, please provide your phone number so we can
Yeah,
contact
I
you.
haven't heard back with a phone number, so.
All right, well, we'll think a little more on that policy, till next Thursday. Item H, the budget. What say you, Mr. Steve?
I say that we'll have it, not projected versus actual, but budget versus actual, as soon as we put the checks in on Monday.
Now, we have Danelle working part of that, do we not? Is she involved with part of
Who?
Danelle?
Oh, no, that's something I can print myself.
Oh, no, but has she been
Oh,
manipulating
yeah, she's
that?
manipulates the numbers.
Okay. Well, we've hired an outside accountant, if you will, who is excellent. She's worked for us before and she's excellent. She's been brought in here to, I'll say, straighten out few inconsistencies, if you will, a few issues.
And she has our budget ready to go for the auditors. My understanding is the auditors have already started working on preliminary numbers, which puts us about 7 months ahead of where we were last year.
Well, it's important that we account for and we be responsible for and we audit. Not only is it required, but it's good practice, and the sooner the better, in my opinion. No reason not to. It's like not it's putting off your homework till later. All right, on the supervisor's report, Mr. Rhodes, anything to update us?
No major updates, still in development, but come on.
Mr. Rhodes is working on a pump-out schedule, for lack of a better description, on your septic systems. Earlier in the evening, we were talking about our sewer system. A large portion, of the township is on septic systems. And when we talked about DEP, the state, or a number of other government officials, we are essentially mandated to have a program. And I do not want, meaning a pump program, and I do not want to run afoul or, necessarily get on the wrong side of them. We have a program, but we need to, make it more efficient. And Mr. Rhodes has been willing to work on that. On the fire companies, I've seen Gibraltar's report. Is there one from Friendship in there? Okay, good. And then for emergency management coordinator, they want to change that to emergency services. Is that?
I think the category needs to be changed to emergency services because it's really doing more. We have EMC, and now we have ambulance. So it's instead of just saying fire companies, just change it to emergency services, and it's inclusive of everyone.
Okay. I don't see any harm in that. All of you should have received in your binder or packet minutes of the reorganization meeting, workshop, regular meeting. Take a look at those till Thursday. We also have a sewage enforcement officer report, building inspector report, zoning inspections, a road report, a variety of reports. So take a look at those. By the way, I see somebody in the back there. You're easily seen. Is he the gentleman that wants to do the presentation?
I believe he's.
Oh, I'm sorry, I would have. It seems like we're almost at an appropriate time, or is that somewhere else here?
The agenda before the end.
Okay, well, what the heck? You want to do it now?
Sure. Certainly do that.
Let's do it. Deputy Chief.
Where's Brad, in bed?
No, he's dealing with 2 sick kids and a sick wife. So.
You weren't around him recently, were you?
No, got it. This is a paper copy. Okay. This is a paper copy of the PowerPoint presentation I put together.
Hey, thank you.
Of course. There we go. So basically my purpose here is to start a discussion about EMS funding. I started with Tower Direct at the end of September, coming from Minquist in Downingtown and Chester County, where I was the EMS chief for about 8 years or so. So Berks County is a little bit new to me, and the service is significantly larger than what I've historically dealt with. So it's a little bit of drinking from a fire hose, but it's been a lot of fun. It's a really good group of people. So we'll do is we'll just go through this real quick. What this does is explain who we are, what we do, some of the stuff that sets us apart and such. So I'm not one to read slides. You guys can read, you can look at the pictures. Basically, Tower Direct started in 2020 as an amalgamation from Southern Berks, the Pottstown Medical Transport in Pottstown, and Medic 93 is Brandywine Hospital. Since then, they've been able to we've been able to simplify a couple things, some processes and everything, get it all under the Tower Direct logo and name. What we are is not a traditional ambulance company. We are the patient movement component of a health system. So while a lot of other companies in the area, with the exception of like Lifeline and Penn State, we deal with any kind of patient movement, whether that's 911 calls, whether that's interfacility transfers, whether it's discharges, and such. Under Tower Direct, we also manage the transfer center and patient placement, which controls our own in-house dispatch for interfacilities and such like that. But patient placement is any movement from one bed to another in the health system. So whether that's an ICU downgrade from Reading Hospital to their step-down unit, or an ICU transfer from Pottstown to Phoenixville, that goes through patient placement and such. That is under Amber Landis. She is our dispatch coordinator, kind of it's her department. So I'm working getting in on that. We've got some other things I'm working on the admin side for EMS. As part of our service area, we cover 224 square miles with a population of 101,000 people. 22 municipalities everywhere from here in Berks mostly, to Phoenixville Borough and Chester County, as well as the upper end of Chester County with like the Huntingburg area and such. Our staffing, our daily staffing, we do have a 24-hour ALS supervisor who runs out of our creamery station. They carry the full complement of ALS gear as well as blood products. Effective January or February 1st, we added liquid plasma to our blood coolers as well. So we carry packed red blood cells, which is a component of blood, and the liquid plasma as well. Studies are showing there's a 20 to 40% increase or decrease in morbidity and mortality with the administration of liquid plasma as well. 9 ALS ambulances, 2 BLS ambulances, a critical care response unit staffed by critical care transport nurse out of our Vanity Fair Center, and then 3 dispatchers, 3 transfer center nurses, our medical director, and administration on call. Some of the common questions we do get asked: EMT, paramedic, ALS versus BLS, right? So ALS is advanced life support, BLS is basic life support. BLS and EMTs kind of go together, right? Bandaging, splinting, ice packs, that kind of stuff. ALS is your paramedics, cardiac monitoring, intubation, IVs, medications, that kind of stuff. So another thing that we do get asked as part of the health system is, will we transport to any hospital? Yes. Our state protocols is what we follow, and they require us to transport the patient to any hospital of their choosing within reason. Around here, it's a pretty simple choice: St. Joe's or Reading. And while the majority of people choose Reading, we certainly transport to St. Joe's on a regular basis as well. We're also known to service Ephrata Hospital, LGH, Paoli, Chester County Hospital, obviously Pottstown, Phoenixville, Lehigh Valley, both Cedar Crest and Gilbertsville and such. So we do kind of cover a large complement of area. Our critical care team. So our critical care team is one of the exciting things that brought me on here. Essentially, it is the nurse component of an EMS helicopter on the ground. All of our critical care nurses have a lot of experience in emergency medicine, CVICU in the hospital, which is your cardiovascular intensive care unit, and such. A lot of them have worked for Lifeline for their helicopters, Penn Star, Lehigh Valley, Stat Medevac, all that. Basically, what we can do with our nurse is anything a helicopter can do, just on the ground. With the decrease and change in protocols and such, there's been a large decrease of helicopter usage. Not so much up here because Reading's right there as a level 1 trauma center, but more on our outliers where essentially scene flights and stuff has gone by the wayside because paramedics are trained to manage their patients and treat appropriately, as well as the increase of scope, medications, the addition of blood products, and all that stuff. So a recap for last year, 2025 year to date, we did a total of 27,851 calls for service. That's our entire division. That includes 10,043 911 calls, 8,444 facility transports, 9,364 wheelchair van transports. Of those, we had 113 true heart attacks, 95 advanced airways, which is your intubations, 33 blood administrations, 44 ketamine administrations, 14 patients received TXA, which is part of a massive transfusion protocol, stops bleeding in trauma, 8 antibiotic administrations, 92 cardiac arrests, with 13 achieving ROSC, which is return of spontaneous circulation. Basically, we get the heart beating again. and they were discharged to home without any neurological deficit. In the pre-hospital world, right, if you look at our next page, in the pre-hospital world, a cardiac arrest survival is very, very unlikely. So average is about 6.8% on a national level. Pennsylvania sits at 7.2. We sit at 14.9. So with the increase, with our medical director, who's very progressive, we do run quarterly trainings, mandatory. We were able to develop a system that really works for us and really push that into our people to have a successful cardiac arrest. Specific to Robeson Township, we did a total of 567 911 dispatches in the township. I know we do split part of the area with Elverson Honeybrook. I've been working with Matt Welch, who's the chief there for a long time. And he runs the service which handles your BLS service. And then we come in as your medic responder. I believe that's out of, if I recall correctly, that comes out of the Honeybrook Chester County station, where we do staff the single medic responder to assist them on calls. Getting into the more uncomfortable stuff, costs. Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 ambulances vary. It's everything from a van ambulance, which is our Type 2, up to a Type 1 and Type 3 is either a van front or a truck front, as you may know them. But they're ranging in costs anywhere now from $150,000 to $250,000, with a up to 24-month wait time for us to deliver it. I'm sure, I'm not familiar with your fire apparatus, but it's the same similar thing where you guys are waiting, what, 3+ years for a new engine. So, some of the other stuff we do have is power stretchers, $40,000, power loading system for the stretchers, $45,000. Our cardiac monitor sits around $50,000. The Lucas CPR device, which is the auto pump cardiac arrest device, which has actually helped us achieve our statistics. They're about $20,000 a piece. Our stair chairs, which is basically a chair with tracks on the back to help safely transport somebody down the stairs, they sit about $12,000 now.
Is that motorized for that much?
No.
Well, you guys are shopping the wrong place.
That's
Years ago, I just bought 3 of them for $3,000 a piece. Brand new.
from Stryker.
Yeah.
So, we just got 2 trucks quoted with them, and that's the accurate price for us from Stryker directly. So unfortunately, with all the, I guess, potential liability, we do have to stick with Stryker for their maintenance contracts and all that stuff. Other equipment for costs, your medications, oxygen, IV pumps, IV supplies, video laryngoscopy, which is a little camera when we intubate, innovation supplies, IV fluid warmers, iPads and cell phones, fuel, truck maintenance, which basically comes down to every time Tower Direct makes a patient contact, it costs about $838.12. The average revenue per trip is $419.86. Granted, healthcare is broken globally in this country, and this is just what we have to, this is what we're stuck with right now. Current EMS issues that we're dealing with is the insurance reimbursements. In Pennsylvania, there's a bill in the House that has been sitting there for a while now about direct payments. Independence Blue Cross is a big one. If we transport you to the hospital and you have Independence Blue Cross, they'll usually pay a fair amount, but they send the check to the patient, who then would have to write it over to us or cash it and reimburse us. We find that a large contingent of people don't understand that process exactly, and they keep the money thinking whatever they're thinking. So we don't get reimbursed. There's legal action to take, but the return on that isn't as much as it could be. We did have the big beautiful bill implications and unknowns. We're still trying to figure out what exactly that means for us at EMS. And we're trying to take a proactive approach to community partnerships. Right, you look at Crozier Health down in Delaware County, that's basically crippled an entire county with the closure of a health system. So granted, it was bigger than EMS, but even being in Chester County, we were having bi-weekly, every other week meetings about implications for Chester County units getting dragged into Delaware County because there simply aren't any. Staffing and retention is another issue for us. The average lifespan for an EMT is about 3 to 5 years. A paramedic is 5 to 7. Most people go out with mental health issues, back injuries and such, or move on to a different career. I was a teacher at Hack for a while for their EMT program, and I'd say probably 80% of the students I had were using it as patient contact hours to move on to PA school, MD school, or anything like that. 20% of the students we actually had came into the field, and then would last 3 to 5 years before finding something else. General fleet issues and length of time for replacement, again with a 24-month lead time on ambulances, with the amount of miles we're putting on the trucks. We basically have a new truck, we have to use it for 2 years and then order another one 2 years later, just to try to keep it up to par. And then increased costs, staffing, supplies, benefits, capital purchases, and such. One of the many things I was brought here to change is the culture, specifically with municipalities and our people. I'm very big on communication. Granted, the last 2 reports didn't come through because I tried to set up something automatic. That clearly came back to bite me. 24/7 on-site supervisor and administrator on call means you have ample ways to reach out to us if you need us. The support and affiliation with the major health system in the area does give Tower Directs the resources to do things that other companies can't. So the training, the blood administration alone, having to be able to get that and cycle out. So with the blood, we have to go through and change that out every 24 hours. As part of our blood program, we are a zero waste blood program because we understand how emergent that need is. So that's why we switched from whole blood to PRBCs. And within a week of expiration, they're pulled from us, sent to the hospital, and used in the hospital. So there is zero waste from us. The quarterly competency for verification for all staff. The Education and Simulation Center guarantees that our staff is up to date with the most recent evidence-based practices. And then the last 2 pages are just pictures of us out and about, everywhere from Maple Grove to different incidents, to the training, to working together to wash the trucks and get them looking clean and presentable, to the critical care team out and about. We do run a mass casualty bus, which is based out of Chester County. It was purchased with a grant with the Chester County EMS Task Force. But that bus has actually been very busy as of late. They went over to Bristol for the nursing home explosion. It was up in Lackawanna County for the hospital fire, as well as a couple area events for warming and such. And then on the last page is simply my contact information. So when I was brought in, again, it was the end of budget season, not getting anything accomplished. So what I'd like to do is start a conversation with the township of some kind of EMS funding and such. Some of the other municipalities we have here, and I've worked with in the past elsewhere, we talk about our membership. So we got away from doing a global membership. The cost wasn't worth what we were actually recouping. We were losing money doing that. We do have that up on our website. So residents of this township are able to go onto the website and purchase a membership, which acts as a tertiary insurance. So whatever your insurance doesn't cover, we wipe the rest of the bill.
Could you send us a link for that? Because we'll put it on our website as well.
Absolutely.
Because I've actually had a couple of people call me and asking me whether or not somebody in the area did that service.
Yep. So we do that for this township specifically. What we have done with other townships is negotiated either a couple different options for funding. Let me lay this out there. What we do with a couple neighboring townships is a cost per household, and essentially the municipality covers the membership for the municipality. So like our residents in Birdsboro Borough, they don't need a membership because Birdsboro gives us $50 per household in their municipality, and then that counts as the membership for everyone living in that borough. Between that, there are a couple other municipalities that have been able to enact an EMS tax, which, while nobody likes raising taxes, nobody likes hearing that, it equates to roughly, up here I believe it equates to roughly $120 per household per year. It's a max of 0.5 mils, which is 50 cents per every $1,000 of assessed value on your residence. And again, whether we talk about an EMS tax or talk about a fee per household and membership and such, because like I said, if we work together and decide to go down that route, there's no need for any memberships for anybody. But yeah, that's kind of what I've got right now. I know, like I said, insurance across the country is broken. You know, if you look at a plumber and say, well, this is gonna cost $100 to get done, well, I'll pay you $35, they're not gonna do the work. Whereas if we get 35 cents on the dollar, we're actually excited because of the reimbursements are down so low. So,
Well, thank you.
it's kind of my field.
Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions?
What your average response time is?
So there's a couple different metrics we have for that. We have our response time, which is from dispatch to en route, is usually averaging about 70 seconds. And then dispatch to on scene, national average is about 8 minutes. We sit around 7. So one of the things that's kind of got that to creep up a little bit is the decrease in use of lights and sirens. Studies have come out over the last couple of years that shows actually a lights and siren response incurs a far greater amount of risk for the 30 to 40 seconds that it saves us traveling. So, is there any other questions I can ask or answer for you guys?
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind sending us the link, any request, we appreciate it.
I just have one email address. Or do you have a card I can?
I don't have any cards.
I'll email Paul.
There you go.
I'll get that from him.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
And stay away from the supervisor for a week. All right, we're gonna move on if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Engineer Road.
Okay, so in accordance with the board's authorization, we advertised 2 street work projects. The first of which is what we refer to as Contract 1. This is our paving contract for the year. We received 3 bids. Again, this is for the leveling and overlay of the first section from Route 10 to Overlook on Buck Hollow Road. 3 prices were received, one from Allen Myers, one from H&K, and the low bid was New Enterprise Stone and Lime. Their bid was $188,887.08. Attached to our report was a recommendation to award that contract to New Enterprise Stone and Lime in that value. This contract 1, is for Robeson Township only. The next one we'll discuss involves some other municipalities. If you'd be willing to move forward with that tonight, we can certainly get those contract documents started.
So do we have a motion?
I will make a motion that we award contract 1 for the overlay and paving of, what is it, Rock Hollow from Route 10 to Overlook?
Buck Hollow.
Buck Hollow, I'm sorry. At a cost of $188,887.08.
We'll have
I'll
a
second the motion.
seconded by Mr. Rhodes. All those in favor, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Goodall?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yeah.
And I'll vote yes.
Thank you. Second contract, what we're referring to as Contract 2. This was a contract that involved Robeson, Brecknock, and Union Townships. Union and Brecknock have both already authorized the award of this contract. If I can explain it to you just briefly, again, there was a letter in our report addressing this. 2 prices were received, one from Asphalt Maintenance Solutions, the other one from Martin's Paving, our 2 typical oil and chip contracts. And there were 2 bids put out, a regular bid and an alternate bid. The alternate bid only applied to work in Union Township. They had a couple things that they wanted to kind of price check and make sure that they would come in within their budget. So we bid it with a couple alternates for them. The price is the same to both Brecknock and Robeson. We didn't have any alternates in our bid. The low bidder was Asphalt Maintenance Solutions in a alternate bid value of, this is $727,912.15. That's the total contract value, so that's the contract value for all 3 municipalities combined. The price to Robeson Township is $318,602.15. Again, that's the AMS price. Interestingly enough, Martin Paving's price to Robeson Township would have been $318,687.70. There's like $85 difference between the two bids. So we have a letter of recommendation, again, in our report, requesting that Robeson authorize contract 2, which has already been done again by Brecknock and Union, to be awarded to AMS in the alternate bid amount of $727,912.15. Again, that price to this board and the price within our municipality is $318,602.15.
Okay, is there, any feelings on one of those, because they're so close? Any feelings on one of them versus the other as to, you know, the quality of work that we get in the service?
Who did the other two municipalities bid? They took,
Did they award it?
They awarded
They
the
all
bid.
awarded AMS in the low bid.
Okay,
We have used them both, Harold. You know, I would say that they're both responsive and qualified bidders.
okay.
I think if you ask Barry and I outside the public meeting, we have a favorite, but that's not really here or there.
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion to award the, contract to Asphalt Maintenance Solutions in the amount of $318,602.16.
Oh, that's Robison's.
Yeah, I would say that you should make the motion for the
The full amount.
727,912.15.
even though we're paying much less.
Correct, because we're awarding that
Okay,
contract.
Okay,
The
So-
contract clearly stipulates what roads are in each municipality and what that bill would be, so.
You comfortable with that, Mr. Steve? that motion?
I'll have verbiage for this.
What's
So I'll make the motion that we awarded the contract to AMS in the amount of $727,912.15, with Robeson Township share being $318,602.16.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Gullo?
Yes.
Mr. Steve?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Thank you. We will get those letters out to the contractors. It may take a few weeks to get that contract 2 back here for signature. My intention is to have both other municipalities sign first. Since we were the advertising agency, we'll sign last and get those out. Couple updates for the board. The first, with respect to Green Hills Estates, you may have seen that they have started their sewer connection work in Green Hills Road. Mike with Systems Design has been out there daily with the contractors. I've been checking in from time to time as I'm available. But Systems Design, as the sewer engineer, is certainly on site with the contractor. Work is progressing.
Gilmore City was supposed to bring in a check for $10,000.
You've
To
still
cover-
never received that?
I actually talked to him last week one day, and he was bringing it in, but he must have got stuck in a snowbank.
Okay. I'll talk to Keith, we'll remind him. Old River Road update, in talking with Barry, he was gonna get some price on some custom signs to be placed for the road closure. My understanding is that our sign supplier has changed hands recently. As soon as we get prices on that, we'll go out and take a look at what signs we need and bring that back to the board. We haven't received any notification that they're closing the 724 yet, correct?
No,
Yeah, I haven't.
not a word.
I'm guessing they're waiting for this snow to go away, would be my guess.
Yeah, it sounded like there was work they couldn't do until April,
Okay,
so it made no sense they're gonna close it in January, even though that's what they said.
yeah. Regardless, I think we wanna get ahead of it, so we'll keep working on it. The Rock Hollow Road Bridge Guide Rail, I have contacted Construction Masters twice. They've been in contact with the guide rail installer. They're waiting on a response from them to get some guidance on relocating that or widening that out a little bit. I don't have resolution on that yet. Green Light Go, like I said, the application for the grant is in. As soon as we receive word back from PennDOT, we will be coordinating with our signals consultant to get all the paperwork in that we need to keep that moving, so.
Do you remember what the number for that grant was that we ended up with?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine.
I can look it up though. And there was no meeting, for planning commission in February. There will be a meeting though, in March. We have at least one plan received so far for the agenda. And that's all I have, unless you have questions in the report or.
Item I was put in, I put that in regarding, perhaps by next week, we could get a little bit of an update status, maybe of all the subdivisions. One concern I have is the subdivision that we're referring to with respect to the data center was actually initiated when I was in office first 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think there's a concern we all have to allow things to, I'll say, sit around for that long. And I think that with the proper application of our procedures and our authority, we can maybe cut down on some of that in the future. So I didn't want to put you on the spot, but by Thursday, I'd particularly like to have a little more feedback as to.
There is a sheet that's reviewed monthly by your planning commission with respect to those timeframes. I can get it to you.
Thank you.
The email we got from Marvin regarding Hopewell.
Yep.
I saw he had like rumble strips was one of his things. Do you know where we can source that? Or
Yeah.
a groover or?
So what I'm thinking is, what Supervisor Steve is referring to, my understanding, and he reached out to me by phone, is that our guide rail that was installed on Hopewell Road has been hit 5 times?
I think it's 6 since it was installed.
It's a lot.
Okay. So we reached out to our connection with LTAP to get some ideas on what we could do. They did respond. I'll get that email to the board before Thursday. But yes, we can get prices on all that stuff if that's what the board decides to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the rumble strips are the easiest solution. At least it's letting you know that, hey, slow up.
Yeah.
There's something coming up here.
One of it's a lot of pavement marking. It's some advisory signage. We do have a significant amount, in my opinion, of advisory signage out there already. Again, they've given us a recommendation to supplement that.
The road markings right now would be no benefit whatsoever.
But my thinking was, with some of these things, maybe we wanna take a look at a couple other locations in the township where we have road markings that need updated or refreshed. I think there's some around here that, if we're gonna get pricing, maybe we wanna do them all together. But we could certainly do that. I'll get this to, the rest of the board for Thursday.
Okay.
That concludes your report?
It does, yeah.
All right. From our solicitor, we have a couple of comments here.
Right, the data center ordinance, has been discussed a couple of times during this meeting. One of the main focuses of the review from the proposal was the water, those regarding the water. I had collected some other sample ordinances from other municipalities that had been, enacted already. And, I think my comments will probably be directed largely towards those and making sure those are as strict as possible.
To your knowledge, have any ordinances that have been enacted been challenged? I have not seen case law on that. It could be just too.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't follow up yet to the Superior Court, or the Commonwealth Court level yet, rather.
Okay.
That'll take
Item.
usually a year till they get to that level and start getting published.
Yeah. So, in order to keep that moving, I believe there were 16 or 18 concerns, and that was a preliminary review by our engineer. If the EAC can coordinate them and help insert those into the document where they seem appropriate, you've taken a look briefly at those, I believe, and then we'll be able to try and master. The next step will be to ultimately get to the planning commission for their recommendation. Now, many of you heard me comment on this joint comprehensive zoning that we have. It's not just as simple as our board approving our own ordinance. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
It has to go to them.
it has to go to them for their input.
I'm sorry, who is them?
Our joint comprehensive group.
And who is them?
Them would be Union Township,
Birdsboro.
Glenarvan Township, and Birdsboro.
And that was something that we adopted many years ago. At that particular time, if memory serves me correctly, I was the only no vote to that because I didn't like the layers of approval. I didn't like the delay that you're seeing right now. I believe my public comments are on record. That meeting occurred at Robeson Elementary School where I testified that I was not in favor of that, for that reason as well as other reasons. However, that has passed and there are benefits to that. I'm not saying it's an all negative thing. There are benefits.
Is that every ordinance that's proposed has to go through the joint planning commission?
There are ordinances that would not pertain to that, no, so I don't believe it's every ordinance.
So
But
why does this one pertain to that?
because we're talking about a zoning issue, we're talking about zoning issues
So
and,
any zoning issue would pertain to the joint comprehensive?
yes,
Is that true?
if that's the way I understood it to be. I don't know that there were any changes in the law in that area, but, the theory of that was if one municipality has a permitted use and other municipalities don't, as long as one within the joint group has that permitted use, then that in a sense qualifies for that geographic district, that geographic distance or plot of townships, group of townships, if you will. And I think there's some merit to that. I think there's some good in
Yeah,
that.
but we don't all have to have a dump now. We
Right,
don't all
I-
have to have.
Or a place for a dump.
Right, I would agree with you. My question, I guess, would be that we presented this really in November, December, January, and now it's February. And this is the first time I am hearing that it has a zoning, not just here, but with other municipalities. And I have been to Birdsboro. I was there physically and I met with their manager this week.
Doesn't
But-
that also have to be approved by the county?
Absolutely.
So at the county as far as that goes, right now, there's between 4,000 and 5,000 data centers in the United States. Under planning as of today or construction, there's 3,000 more. It's a race. It's a race.
I mean, if you read the paper, there's like 3 proposed in
Oh,
Montgomery
I know,
County,
I
right
know.
near Limerick.
But I just reiterate what I said earlier.
Have you seen any estimates of how many this nation needs?
There's
Not that many.
40.
Less than what they're proposing maybe, but how many?
What?
How many data centers are needed in this country?
But you-
Well,
depends on
they're
who you
looking
ask.
at 8,000.
Good question.
Right now, between planning and installed data centers, it's between 7,000 and 8,000. Okay, but, it's a race to get there because Pennsylvania has no sales tax on data centers contracts. They're a warehouse for data. There's gonna be bit mining in there, there's gonna be everything else if it isn't one particular company. Before we do anything, just make sure that our ordinances are clear on protection of air, water, and air, water, and hearing. Because if you look up Musk Data Center, Memphis, Tennessee, is that, everyone that's involved should look up that site, and money talks. And he doesn't care that he brought in 10, 15, 20 generators to run his data center because they didn't have enough power. But now the reservoir has air pollution that's settling on the reservoir, and they have water pollution. And they
Okay.
have noise pollution from the generators.
All right, well, we'll
So
look at-
whatever we put in, just make sure that there are teeth with it.
Well, we'll look at that. You have a
Can I ask
comment?
a question about process, just going back to the 16 to 18 recommendations from the township engineer? I just wanna be really clear on what we're being asked to do. I'm
Okay,
sorry, my name
okay.
is Anne Marie
Yeah,
McMahon.
what I'm asking you to do is if you've drafted that ordinance,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna speak for the entire board, but what may be helpful also is to now tweak the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, with his comments. And I don't believe our solicitor had any objections per se, but we'll certainly keep the ball rolling. And I wouldn't mind getting that, at least in concept. Has it been discussed at all at the planning commission?
They're aware that it's on the horizon and coming their way
Okay,
at some
well,
point.
let's get them to weigh in at the earliest possible date. I don't think that harms.
But can I ask, I'm sorry, I have another question though, because we have long represented that we are not experts at all.
Right.
When we were attempting to do that draft ordinance.
Well, I don't
We
think,
know
personally,
that-
I don't think you did bad.
Yeah,
I really don't.
We hope that we didn't, but we know that a lot of the comments pertain to like, okay, look back at this section of Robeson Township ordinance. We're gonna need a lot more back and forth.
Here's what I would
with the
suggest.
engineer.
I would suggest going through that review letter, changing the things that you're aware of, and let me know, what adjustments you've made to compensate for any of those comments. I do think there's going to be some that you're not able to,
Address.
right,
The majority,
because
I would say.
the challenge that we're gonna have is taking that ordinance and fitting it in with the township's
Yeah.
current
Yeah.
zoning,
Right.
right?
Which
Um,
we didn't try to do.
Sure, I understand.
Okay.
So do the best you can, and if you can get that back to the township, a week or so ahead of, the first Monday in March,
Is that the planning?
that's when the planning commission will meet, and we can certainly, Paula will make sure that we get this on the agenda for the planning commission, and that's a great venue to come and have a discussion regarding, the workings of the ordinance itself.
And ultimately, the planning commission, again, recommends to us, hey, we've looked at this ordinance, we think this fits, doesn't fit. It's a necessary process, I guess is what I'm saying, and quite frankly, beneficial most times. That's why the system is like it is.
Right. Could I ask one other question of the solicitor? Is that, I think the first thing that, and I'm trying to understand what you said is, you think that there are sample ordinances from other municipalities, and you suggest we enact the water element of that, or I'm not?
In the review letter, one of the comments actually referred back to me, was regarding water, looking at water, and making sure that a portion of the water requirements in the statute.
Is
or
there
the
something in
ordinance, rather.
particular that you're looking at one of these other
I
ones
can give you one.
that, well,
So that-
no, I want the water part that you're talking
Right.
about, okay, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole, I don't need the whole thing in order
Okay.
for Ken. I mean, you
Alright.
can give me the whole thing, but it's like,
You tell me what you want, either
yeah,
way.
well, I'm trying not, this is not a paid entity.
Oh, I know, yeah.
We have other things, not that you guys make a boatload of money or anything, but, I feel a little bit like I'm being challenged to go to law school. By,
Okay.
well, you cobble these together, we looked at it, we have a few things and, there you go,
Right.
go ahead and do it. And so, it's a little bit, the whole process is a little bit,
Intimidating.
no, annoying. Maybe intimidating to you. I'm not intimidated. What I am is annoyed because we're asking for, what is it that you need? And I feel we are being bounced all over. Well, go to planning. Don't hang out with the BOS.
No, ma'am,
you
you're
know?
not being bounced all over.
That's what I feel like.
Well, you may feel like that, but that's not the case. There's a process that we're gonna follow.
When we're
We
asking
have
that.
to follow that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in a sense, it's not going fast enough for some, but that's the way that is. So
But how
haste
would I know
makes,
that if I
haste
wasn't
makes
here
waste,
today?
excuse me?
So my other part is then, and we asked to be part of this. I mean, I did that. I specifically said we want to be part
Right,
of the whole
and
thing.
you
But
are.
how would I know that if I was
When
not
you say
here
that,
or
what are you
she-
talking
How would I
about?
not know that, well, these are the comments, because I wouldn't be able to read
Well, the
these
reason you know it is
comments.
just like the first time when I made copies at my expense, the same day the report came from our engineer and handed to you at our first meeting. That's how you know it. We are going out of our way to try and make things as best we can. We're trying to help, and you seem, ma'am, a little bit at times combative.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, let me suggest to you that that's probably not gonna be in the overall best interest of the township.
Well, it's
we
probably not
hear
the
you,
best
and we've
interest of the
heard you
township
before.
To make me feel like I have to come to a Board of Supervisors workshop, and then the meeting, and sit through and listen to, I don't know what this guy's point was, is whether he wants money.
Well, he's trying to provide emergency services.
I
Now,
understand.
we've heard you, okay, and we've made suggestions. If you're not comfortable with respect to that ordinance, we'll continue to plow along. I asked our solicitor to look at it, the board asked him, he did, our engineer did, and we're moving forward. Now, patience is what you might wanna think about.
I respect that, and I throw that right back at you, is that you need some patience with us as well, okay?
Oh, we have been,
Really?
oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, folks, I'd love to stay, but I gotta go.
There's a question in the back, ma'am.
Yes, I just need some clarification on joint comprehensive, and I know that zoning, is that Union, Birdsboro, Robeson? Is that the joint comprehensive?
And Carnarvon.
And Birdsboro.
And Birdsboro, yeah, Union, Birdsboro.
So those
Robeson.
municipalities are members of a plan, or are subscribers, if you will, or they're parties to a plan. And that plan says that, in a sense, one of the benefits of the plan says, well, by the way, if this is in the borough of Birdsboro, maybe Robeson doesn't necessarily have to have it. Or if this is in Carnarvon, maybe we don't. And the reason that was, as Mr. Steve indicated, was there's a theory, a legal thought, that every municipality must provide for every use. And
So
as I mentioned, excuse me?
So is that joint comprehensive, is that the planning commission?
No, that's a separate document. And that document enables and incurs responsibilities on behalf of all the, if anybody else, if any other municipalities change their zoning, they also tell us. Because one of the concerns I expressed at that public hearing was that I feel that as a board, it's an extra step to have the county review it again, and we're responsible to the voters here. I don't know that I like an extra layer of review by a county who are not necessarily elected by the people of Robeson Township, at least in theory. So I was the dissenting and only dissenting vote of that. But having said that, that's the system that we're in now, and that's what we've got to work through. Should we do something hastily? Should we do something that's not proper? We risk something being far worse. We risk something being set aside, which is why I asked that question. What challenges have count? So haste can make waste, but we're moving forward, and we're all doing the best we can.
So should we could go into those other townships when they have zoning meetings, Union?
Now, what we do is we send them our form, hey, this is what we're gonna do. This is our, and then they have I don't know if it's a
I would
comment.
say the zoning, I would not go to a zoning meeting, because a zoning meeting is, if that municipality has an application, a zoning application in that municipality, we're not discussing an ordinance, or reviewing, someone wants to put on an addition, something like that, so the zoning would not be the place for that.
Oh, gotcha.
A planning commission might be, but you look at the agenda beforehand to see if it's being discussed on the agenda.
Gotcha, okay.
If I may, to try to put just a little context to this for you. You made a request to the Board of Supervisors, and they've been discussing it, and it sounds as though, at this point, they're willing to say, freshen it up a little bit, give us a little bit more information if you can, and if you get it into the township in time, we'll put it before the Planning Commission, which is the body that typically reviews and starts to put these ordinances together to then bring back to the Board of Supervisors. We don't send you directly to the Planning Commission because they don't control the purse strings. They don't authorize the spending the money. What the board here, I understand, is telling you is, go to the Planning Commission now, and the Planning Commission members and the consultants will take a look at this, and we'll begin to finesse what you have and get it ready to then bring back to these folks for discussion.
And we use the same solicitor and the same engineer with respect to that planning commission. So the fellows will be informed as best as possible. Can we move on to the next item?
I think Rick had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, where is this place supposedly might wanna go?
Well,
Over there in
there's-
300 acres?
There's nothing been proposed yet.
We're back to the same issue of the Cedar Hill Road and one entrance under Jackson Street.
Well, yeah,
Disaster.
that's the same problem you have with 500 homes
Yeah, I
and
know.
1,500 cars.
Yeah, well, they're not coming in there anymore, so he's dead.
So,
Rondé's dead, so. And I'm in the middle of it. It won't cross my property, I'll tell you that for now.
okay,
It won't come nowhere near my property.
the next item on your agenda has to do with the Breitenstein agreement. That agreement was with this board, and there seems to be some issues with that. You've had a chance to take a look at that briefly, have you not?
Right, there's an agreement from 2014 for construction of a second dwelling. And
Okay.
so now that second dwelling, the utilities should not be hooked up there anymore. It should not be occupied.
Okay,
So the township
we're gonna
doesn't have
talk
the right to
about,
do an
we're gonna talk
inspection.
about our next legal maneuver at the appropriate executive session as it relates to those violations. That agreement, as I recall, calls for attorney's fees, et cetera, correct?
Top of my head, I don't recall attorney's
Okay.
fees. Legal
Well,
remedies.
there's been an issue where we asked our code enforcement office to review that situation, and I'm not sure that they've done that to the extent that I think this board contemplated. So,
For clarification, though, that agreement wasn't with this current board as
Right, it's
stated.
2014,
Right,
yeah.
I wasn't
it
here,
was,
so-
it wasn't with these members of this board, Mr.
Correct.
Rose, but it was with this board of supervisors.
Correct, I just wanted that clarification on YouTube's.
All right. So your next item. Oh, yes. From time to time, we've been, I'm gonna say behind the eight ball, that's my opinion and my terminology, with respect to hiring, outside counsel when we need it, particularly labor counsel. We have a couple of contracts that, or at least one contract that's gonna be coming up. So I'd like to get a couple of recommendations, if you could give a couple of recommendations on some people, that we get up and ready. I've obviously, I've expressed some concern with those, and hopefully we can do better next go around, certainly in terms of clarification. So we'll discuss that further. The last issue has to do with the resolution with respect to the unanimous vote, revoking the audio-visual recording resolution, and when that's prepared, we'll sign that. I don't wanna steal our solicitor's thunder, but he is new. When I say new, it's his second month, if you will,
Right,
and he's coming up to speed.
so yeah, well, resolution, if you wanna do that,
Yep.
next week.
Yep. Anything else?
No.
All right. Mr. Redinger,
Evening, Board.
what do you have for us, other than something about snow?
Well, first item on my agenda is the overtime budget. It is, Harold and I have looked at it, and it is dwindling pretty fast. Unfortunately, because every time it snows, it's a Saturday into a Sunday, or a Sunday into a Monday. So I just want the board to be aware that it is dwindling. It's not depleted, but
it's also hammering our liquid fuels money pretty hard.
that goes into my, where would that be, into C.
Yeah.
We did start mixing pretty heavy on anti-skid. Previously, I was doing 3-to-1, meaning 3 scoops of salt to 1 anti-skid. I'm now doing half and half, just to try to stretch it by.
The anti-skid's about a third of the cost, is that correct?
It is, yep. Yep. As you can see, you know, for a ton of salt, it's $79, for a ton of anti-skid's $23, so. We are trying to stretch it as much as we can. Hopefully, we're out of the woods, so to speak, with the snow, but, I mean, we're only in the middle of February, so.
Some of the forecast for the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, who knows? It's here, it bounces all over the place. So those two items, I just want the board to be aware of.
in regards to that. B, the 2018 Mack, that's the single axle dump truck. We had a repair for that. We were out at Bergie's of Mack 4 times. Every time we left the facility, we went 5 miles down the road and the same issue happened. So they came to the conclusion that it was, it's called the EATS system, as goofy as that sounds. It's emissions.
After treatment system.
Yeah. Basically what it has to do is, it's a system that has to do with the DEF, the diesel exhaust fluid. I apologize, I have it down here for that repair costing $2,300, it was indeed $2,500, and that was not included in our warranty that we had. Unfortunately, it was basically, that cost was for the whole entire module for the EATS system. That being said, the truck is running great now. Harold actually, and I believe Mr. Biller had touched on D, in regards to hiring for summer help.
We're gonna consider that a vacation or a open position as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Has anybody indicated to him that we will not be hiring him back or no?
No, not to my knowledge, no. I have not, put it that way.
We need to talk about that, okay.
Yeah.
And then, I believe there's 2 at the bottom, being the signs. I know we had spoken about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Barry and I had discussed, with respect to this building, the township facilities are all smoking free. We don't wanna put those signs back in the building, but we can put them, in the, whatever you call that little area between the posts or whatever, somewhere so people know that we're not smoking. The other one has to do with the playground installation signs and the township signs itself. I asked you to take a look at that.
Yep.
Do we have any information?
I do not, I actually have it written down here, to call KC Signs. I was
Okay.
not in today.
For those of you who are not aware, the township signs have said nothing. And we're going to get some ideas with whether we're going to make them say something. For those in the EAC, I'm not certain why we would plant that. I saw on your minutes about extending that. I'm not certain why we would plant those plants by signs we're gonna fix up. I think we just should use caution so we don't.
Dig up what you're planning.
Well, and also, let's not make more work for ourselves. Let's hold
What are
on
we
a
talking
second.
about? Remember,
Signs, township signs.
The sign
we
up.
planted the one up here,
Right.
okay, and somebody stole plants out of there.
Oh, yeah. I
You
heard that.
know,
I'm not so sure that that's the
Bumps?
case.
No,
Did you get any reports that that's stolen? Are they stolen?
I didn't get any reports of it.
All right, well, what I understand happened was some of them either fell over, and in discussions I had with the lawn guy, some of them fell over. What I'm suggesting is, before we plant more plants, let us look at the signs and see what we're gonna do, if we're gonna keep that sign, if we're gonna use a
Yeah.
different sign. I mean that respectfully. I think that's a rush to the situation.
right, I think our part with that was not necessarily planning more, it was maintenance. So once it gets warm enough, is that we did that every time, before we met, we would get here a half hour early, we would weed. It was just maintenance, it wasn't like, and plus, I don't think it cost the township anything for that. I know what the plants I got, I never even submitted the cost, I ate it myself.
Right.
So, maybe it might have cost a little bit, but at any
Right.
rate, the plan was not necessarily more plants
My
there,
interpretation
but
of your
it was-
minutes was maybe to increase that, expand it, and all I'm suggesting is just hold on so we can get coordinated if that's the case. If the monthly or yearly maintenance comes around, have at it. That's a good thing.
Our only plan was just to kind of evaluate if we were potentially able to expand it, but we didn't even.
Did the people steal certain ones, do you
Yes.
think?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
so
It was-
they knew what they were stealing?
Oh, yeah, and they were beautiful. They were blue asters in full bloom, and I assume that they
Now,
were.
to steal them, you dig the bulb up, or?
It was just, perennial, yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys should
It is
report it, we have
gone.
cameras
Our,
out there.
our guy says, our mowing guy, I thought said that was not the case. If you're saying it is the case, you know what you planted, and if they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone, yeah.
They're
We-
gone.
We assume they're looking beautiful in some
Somebody
township
else's,
resident.
yeah.
What's the cost of a blue aster?
Only 15, 20
10
bucks.
bucks each, maybe.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, it was minor, but still, it was a little annoying.
There were how many?
On our front lawn even.
And it
With a
was
sign
only-
that's, that's police
It
out
was
front.
only those.
It was only those, yeah.
It was
The rest
only
of it's
those.
there, yeah.
It's not like they, I mean, they knew what they were stealing.
What's that you said, Barry?
Yeah. I'll tell you tomorrow.
All right, anything else, Barry?
Yeah, sorry, I apologize for skipping around. E, as Harold and I were going through the budget from last year, he and I discovered there were several items that were coded incorrectly and stuck in line items that should not have been there.
Yeah, so with the impending audit, we corrected them so that the auditors wouldn't think that we were playing shifts the money or something.
Yeah, and there's still some that we need to look at from a previous employee that was sticking them in, just took it upon his own liberty to code them himself, which that's not even nowhere close. So,
Okay.
that's all I have. Do we need to touch on the higher possibility? What are we doing with that?
Hiring?
Yeah,
We'll talk about that.
okay. Sorry, I didn't wanna,
No, all right.
that's all I have.
All right, moving on, we'll move on to the park and recreation. The next meeting you guys have is February 22nd. At our last meeting, I indicated I'd be willing to spearhead some type of celebration. Try and kind of kick that start. That's not by way of criticism of the park and rec or usurpation of your advisory, abilities. But, there's been too many times, if you'll see what I put on there, the cleanup. Barry, you're listening, right? I'm hoping if we can coordinate that time, we can, maybe get a truck there or something and get it cleaned up in advance. We haven't done that, in my opinion, timely enough. So those were my suggestions. I was thinking of July 4th weekend, maybe a flea market table thing, all the people of the township, no charge. These are just some of my preliminary thoughts, and you haven't had a meeting to share with you. Mr. Gullo mentioned about the fire apparatus, both companies, which, we didn't comment a whole lot, but, working together, I think it can be, a good event and hopefully turn it into a yearly event. I also, just like we talked about a joint comprehensive plan, there's also, a township-wide parks and open space recreation plan. And I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's something good to look at, something good to read. Some of it was done years and years ago, and then we kind of fall into certain habits where we just do certain things. And that's one of the things that, I'm concerned with. I wanna open the park up instead of the same outfit using it. I wanna use somebody else. I wanna allow it to be open for somebody else, particularly township residents. I'm talking about this field. So these were some things I thrown out there. I'm glad that you came. Hopefully you can take that back to your committee. You have a new committee man, a new committee member. And again, it's by no way of casting anything aside. It's by way of jump starting it and, hey, let's do it. So you're gonna see one request in there that Plowville Athletic Association had asked for, I had some contact for some funding for a backstop. And we do have what's called fee in lieu of money. I'll comment more on that perhaps this Thursday. And I would like to release that, money that they can fund one of their capital improvements as well.
Do we have any idea how much?
How much theirs is?
No, what the cost of their backstop?
Yeah, 20 grand.
$20,000.
Yeah, that's what they cost nowadays. So,
I think we put it on cheaper.
yeah, we might have, but that's a different story. So more on that subject. Do you have something you might wanna add?
No, actually, and just for those who know, I'm Jeff Bolt, I'm actually on Parks and Rec. which is really, really good. Glad to have a new member, which I thought was great. I saw the meeting minutes for that, watched the video for that. It's when you mentioned Celebration Day, something we talked about, I think, a year ago, might have been you or the previous township manager, about how do we get together, our police, our departments, our committees to show the township what we do. Union Township did something, I believe it was last year or a year ago. They did a township day, which is really nice. Brought together all the pieces of the township. Here's what we do, almost like meet the supervisors, meet the volunteers, meet local businesses. So
Well, that could probably be combined with our celebration day.
right, that's what I'm thinking is, so we're thinking the same thing. It's like, how do we,
Get a table for all,
yeah, how do we showcase
EAC,
the
everybody.
township, right? And say, do you need volunteers, how do we join? So that's great you mentioned that. So we're on the same page, which is fantastic.
Yep. Well, good. Anything else to add?
No, actually, I look forward to meeting the new, I'm glad we have finally a fifth person after how many years, which is good.
Well, good, thank you for coming. On, the next issue is a newly created category that I had put in there. I call it our municipal authority. We have 2 open positions that we can try and fill on Thursday. And then there are now lease negotiations or lease discussions happening between our solicitor, the Board of Supervisors solicitor, and the solicitor of our authority. Previously, there was conflicts because you can't represent a landlord or a lessee and lessor in the same transaction. I had concerns with that. And we did hire outside counsel and we had some preliminary discussions, but did not reduce the final agreement yet. But I think we will have a simpler agreement. Now, regarding that issue, there's going to be a lot of information circulating and a lot of discussions, if you will, with respect to the sewer extension. You heard earlier indicating that work is underway. That goes into the Allegheny, correct? And that's DEP permitted, correct? Okay. Well, our sewer line, unfortunately, when I talked earlier this evening about sometimes mandates we get from different authorities, different state issues, if you will, different state agencies. One of those has to do with the sewer and the requirement to hook up sewers, failing systems. So it's not, an easy situation, but it's something that's partially, out of our control. So all I can do is stay tuned and stay informed on that. We'll try and do the best we can. I see the next item has to do with the minutes are in our package from the EAC. I moved up the Tower Health.
We didn't finish those, so they came as a draft as an internal
Okay.
thing.
I looked at them, and it's like you guys made motions with first names, no last names, and stuff like that, so.
Okay, well,
Oh, for the December one, I'm sorry, I misspoke, my fault, I'm sorry.
okay, so
I'm sorry.
they're in your packet, and then if you need to fine tune your other ones once you approve them, fine, that'll work.
So you're saying put the last names in for people when there's motions, okay?
Yeah, because they're like legal documents, and
Sure,
everybody needs to know who you're talking about.
okay.
Under old business, I put on there, gentlemen, the burn ordinance, which we kind of left go. These are some items in the last couple of years that I want to say might get some discussions and then kind of got left go. One of the concerns I had from an agricultural perspective is with respect to, I would want to see some exemptions in a revised ordinance unless we eliminate that ordinance altogether. I would want to see some consideration of the agricultural application of that. And then it kind of got, I want to say, dropped. The second issue had to do with codification. One of the problems at the township, and I'll use an example on the audio-visual recording. We have a resolution, we then amend that resolution, we then revoke that resolution, and Paula, I'm sure you're paying attention. One of the problems that we have has to do with keeping that organized. And that's another issue relating to, as we do more ordinances, we need to keep them, it is not always easy to keep them organized, particularly the impact one has on another one. The interplay of those, they need to be, it needs to be thought out. So we hired a codification that, in my opinion, we weren't quite ready to do. They can't codify something that's messed up very easily, or it's easier if you're more in control of your own destiny, and that's not a 5-minute job. That's not easy. So I wanted to wait till we were more on, and that didn't happen. Harold, we got a review back from them. I read that, but that was a number of months ago. Have we resubmitted to them?
No, there's so much work that needs to be done in the current ordinances. They can recodify, but that's not gonna fix all the errors in them.
All right, so we're gonna have to spend some time looking at that, both individually and perhaps as a board. It's unfortunate that it does take the time that it does. There's no way around that. It just does. So,
One of the things that comes to mind, Jason and I had a conversation about speeding, and our ordinance says that you can cite at 5 miles over the speed limit. They're not legally allowed to do that. You know, so if they codify that, oh yeah, it puts it in an order, but that doesn't fix that.
well, we gotta begin the process of fixing it. So, that's it for the old business, other than, we did list the data center in there, but I moved that up and discussed that earlier this evening. It's not, in my opinion, old, it's current. And we're gonna make sure, it just got moved there because we talked about it at previous meetings.
And everybody did get the email that said from the county that we are able to appoint our third auditor now, if somebody wants the position.
An auditor is not, the auditor he's referring to is not an auditor of the books, correct, Mr. Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, this auditor's function has to do with setting pay scales of people like a road manager, and who else? I think there's two.
Any supervisors working in a position.
Well, supervisors can have limitations with which positions they can work in, but an auditor sets that rate. Those rates can range, I've heard as low as $15, $20, $25, I don't know. They can, but that is an elected official, but I think most people don't understand that, and they don't run for that position because they think they're gonna get stuck doing huge financial audits when it really doesn't have anything to do with that.
Well, we could have them come in and do an audit of some kind, but most people aren't qualified to audit.
So most people don't want, so at this point, if we've got that clearance letter from the county, we can appoint someone, can we not?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I had mentioned that we put it out on the website, and then see whether we get a take.
well, most people do not seem to wanna be,
There's also several other positions that we have not appointed. We need a deputy open records person. We have not officially appointed a codes enforcement person. We need a supervisor EAC liaison.
I think I'll take that, Mr. Steve.
Well, okay. We need a supervisor, and we just talked about the auditor.
So having said that, does anybody else wanna make any other comments before we may go or may not go into an executive session? Anybody else wanna make any comments? Yes, sir.
I came to one zone meeting here a few years ago when Fred Grande was here with his engineer and his whole crew. And right after that was a gentleman that owned the bar down here on, is that Old River Road or whatever that is over there?
Yeah.
On the backside. He just bought the property, I guess, or he owned it, and he wanted to put a deck up, a big deck out there. Okay? And I'm under the understanding you're supposed to submit all these plans and everything. And I watched him at the zoning board, said, put it up. Just go ahead and do it. He didn't have to go through any of this zoning stuff.
Well, it's commercial property, so I'm pretty sure he had to go through
He
and
didn't go,
get
they told
permits.
him right there on that board, go ahead and put it up.
don't know that
They
that's,
told me to do it.
I don't know that that's in their purview.
I sat right here at the meeting and watched it. And then right after that, I got a brand new, with battling with Grande, I got a brand new 580 feet of Township road put in. The Township they put it in, I got it put in by Grande. The 580 feet over there, brand new
Zoning doesn't-
mechanical, huh?
They don't, zoning boards don't grant, the zoning board have hearings, there might have been 2 hearings on one
He
night.
sat right here and said, go ahead and put the deck up. I don't know who he knew on, I watched him, I
He
sat
might have
here-
he might have been giving zoning relief, sir, but that's not necessarily the same equivalent of
Well,
a
then,
permit.
You should be able
So-
to pull it up.
Well, we
on
should,
his
but
plans and
where
everything.
are you going with this? What do
I'm
you,
just saying, I just see some stuff go on that is favored to certain people.
okay.
There's somebody on the board up here, you can do what you wanna do.
Okay. We, wanna go in executive session. Mr. Steve, do you have something you have to go into, or can we wait till Thursday?
I prefer we talk about that one person.
Fellas, we'll go into executive session. Folks, there is no exact time we will come out. We discuss legal and personnel issues. We don't have any planned action, but we do reserve that right if we do. By the way, the YouTube still runs during the executive session.
It's under, it's EAC.
You need me to stick around, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have the section on the water.
Where would can I go to the tangent?
Right, if that's what you're referring to, there's one thing in particular.
I didn't wanna, sorry if I just.
You can send the whole thing and highlight that one, or whatever's easier for you, okay? I'm just trying to, figure out where we are, and how we can make this, we've got a March 2nd deadline, and if I wanna get it to them before the end of the weekend. Okay, thank you. Right, about the water, yes.
I was just wondering because one of those.
Yeah, so I don't think you believe. Here's what I think we should do. Let me tell you. I don't think I need to hold on to this because we have another church in Wisconsin, it's actually with the flag ceremonies. Well, the flags, do you know, giveaway of. I know if that's something, I don't wanna take your binders.
I believe the county does offer, I'll be honest with you,
I appreciate it.
big box, and the one office is just filled with retired flags.
Yeah, let me check with my guy, cause he brought him actually a collection box at our church. That's one of the rules. We do it at church. We do it early.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Let me see if his schedule is.
Yeah. You might know it, right?
Yeah, I already lived too. So, yeah, we texted back and forth about more. Yeah, let me check this. If you have plans, you want to do it, that's great.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if the township had a, like, they drop them off at county and they do something of some kind. Okay, I'll check. I was just thinking about that. I think it's a great idea to have it.
Oh, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like, the reason that we have, and I shouldn't say we have a lot, but, obviously our flags get like tattered.
Right.
We were talking, but some people have came in and dropped, simply dropped them off, and we'll just take them and put them in a box.
Yeah, we give you like a ceremony, we do like, if you guys want to do like a ceremony just to show people
Yeah.
it works. Happy to, I think the board wants to attend as far as that goes, so, we're gonna try to see what he does, cause, he takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
He does it right, which is
Good,
good.
yeah.
I'm glad they mentioned that, which is a good thing, so.
Yeah, it's not the one for like the,
And I'll, because we're looking at, since we're, for Parks and Recs, back in the year, we're putting Walter again. So I'll give you a heads up. We talked about that machine you
Yeah,
had,
give
give
me-
you like a month or two.
Yeah,
notice,
it's like a month or two. Yeah, like, I mean, obviously, I know that's kinda hard to, with weather and stuff, but
Right.
if I had like a 2-week window,
Okay.
we could get something done.
Yeah, we're gonna, at our meeting, we're gonna plan all that, plan activities for the year, because we have to get, these 100 yards on mulch again, to cover the, once you put it down, it just settles so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And those, I still don't like the photos we're showing on that one,
Yeah,
that's just,
we have
The pads, yeah.
we have the maps that were bought.
yeah. Do you have them here, or are they at the building at Gibraltar?
I actually
this. Okay?
It's where they've been sitting.
Yeah. But they should just be cut and put in place, and then we want on top of that, like the match or just match, right? Yeah. We do wanna cover those. It's funny to talk about taking it down, every time we meet there, people use that like adults for a workout. Which is hilarious. And so we're like,
That's why I
"Oh,
don't
take it down." They're like, that's the most used thing we've seen, which is hilarious. So, it's just funny, it's just.
You would be surprised, like even going into Exeter, the amount of adults that
No,
use
no, no.
the playground, there's not kids there, for exercising.
I've seen that with straight, well, you know, Nashville has their own little, Nashville, they have a walking path, they installed a workout station, all on the walking path, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So that's something like that too, it's like, they were moving a walking path, and stuff like that, so.
There's a way around. School is just a short road.
I know, you did.
School board jumps across 724 and takes you right to Correspondence.
I guess I just talked to myself.
You're losing it.
Turkey Village, Burger, or
That's where.
Their name.
okay.
So, if they were to close,
Which is what we did.
It's on the river, and I think there was a farm stand there.
yes.
Okay.
You know what I mean, like, and that's
So
like,
it's kind of cute little village thing back
it's,
there.
it's like, the road there is the school and the trail at that point, is what's kind of goes on.
Yes. What's funny was Chester County, 724, Schuylkill Road, Nut Road, and 29 and 23. They're all kind of depending on where you come in. Oh, okay.
That's the Phoenix one.
Yeah. I was in East Lake.
One of the things that she started, you guys started, this is very unusual.
Oh, okay. My husband was from Providence, and, yeah, I lived in Star Street, Pennsylvania Avenue, it was bigger than 15. Did you go to sleep?
No, I moved there as an adult, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's, you know, because we felt like, gosh, we had a presentation in April, and like, kids got enough of that
Yeah.
thing, and hear about all this crazy stuff, and it was like, let's do it. Somebody needs to get off the pot. And you're there, so, yeah. So,
I mean, it's decision, but you know, it's like.
All right, we're back in session at 9:12. And one item that I missed on the agenda was the announcement of an executive session Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, where 3 supervisors, Mr. Steve, Ms. Fix, and myself, met and interviewed with potential candidate for hire here. No deliberation took place. That's by way of announcement of that executive session. If no other business before this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll give that.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Gullo, second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you for coming
What
out.
time you got on that?
So,
What time you have on that?
9:15,
9:15?
9, whatever.